Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to East Central Missouri and the world, and welcome to the James Strong Show podcast number 259. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for making us a part of your day. I appreciate it. This podcast was recorded on the morning of Saturday, March the 5th, from the James Strong Studio in Western St. Charles County. Well, my essay today is going to be, I've done these before, the You Never Knew series, I call them. And I take an individual, sometimes a politician, a history figure, a rock star, and I kind of go into a biography about that individual, because even though an individual may be active in the news, they may be out front as a main news story, quite often folks out there don't know the backstory, what's behind this individual, what he's all about, what makes him tick, etc. And I'm going to do that again today. And with the Ukraine war being on the front of every paper, every social media site, every radio show, I'm going to do the Volodymyr Zelenskyy, You Never Knew, the president of Ukraine. And there's a lot of things about this guy that nobody's talking about. Some of them good, some of them not so good, and some of them very, very surprising. So today's essay, the Volodymyr Zelenskyy that you never knew. But first, a couple of updates. First of all, the update on the 51 Jaguar Mark 7. Got a notice from the guys doing the body work that the car is ready for paint. And you think to yourself, well, I thought you said that was that way about a month ago. Well, old cars need lots of work, and they have filled this thing. They've sanded it. They've put poly on it, and the goal is to make this thing look better than new, okay? That's what the guy tells me, okay? We'll find out. To make the car shine as best as possible, to leave a shine you can see yourself in, to eliminate any orange peel on the paint, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, the car is ready to paint. They have to find the paint because I want it to be the original blue color that the car was painted from the factory. And they've got to find a chip to match that paint. I went through the Jaguar registry in UK to find the exact color. They have the exact color. They now need to match that paint. I need to approve it. And then the spray guns will become active. The engine, they say the engine is next in line for the rebuilder. Well, they've been saying that for about 3 months, but I get it. There's no need to rebuild the engine until the car is finished with paint. You don't want to rebuild the engine, then have it sit in a box for 3 months. Couple of reasons. First of all, there's other people who would need their engine rebuilt and the car can be finished. Second of all, I get an invoice. Okay, so it's okay to rebuild that thing at the last minute. Today after the podcast, it's scheduled to be, I think, partly sunny, mostly cloudy today in East Central Missouri, but a high of 74 degrees. Translation, I got a lot of work to do in the shop. We've got a birthday party this afternoon, but later this morning I plan on going to the shop, and I need to complete the rebuild on the propeller shaft. For us people here in the U.S., we call that a drive shaft. It's an interesting drive shaft. In fact, I even worked with the guys at Moss Motors in California, the guys I buy my parts from, and they didn't know how many U-joints went to this thing, and I didn't have the part in front of me, and the guy basically, we looked at the catalog together, and it said 1/2 of a U-joint. I said, well, you can't take 1/2 of a U-joint. You need a whole U-joint. It looks like it takes 3. He said, yeah, it kind of does look like it might take 3, but it says 1/2. Let's order 2. Well, after getting the U-joints, taking the whole propeller shaft apart and cleaning it, removing the 3 U-joints that were there, not 1/2, I know what they meant. This is a 2-piece U-joint, okay? I'm sorry, a 2-piece propeller shaft. The first piece takes 1 U-joint. The second piece takes 2 U-joints. So that's why it didn't say 1/2, it was 1/2. And in the middle of this thing is a thrust bearing. So this thing, I've done a little bit of cleaning. I've removed the U-joints already. So I need to finish the cleaning, separate the thrust bearing, clean everything up, sandblast it, prime it, paint it. I don't think I'll get the U-joints in this weekend. That'll be another task for another day, because this is a paint day. So because it's a paint day, because it's going to be warm, it's going to be a paint day, I'm going to try to prime and paint, sandblast, prime and paint the air cleaner as well. So we'll see how far I get. I generally have large expectations for working on this car, and I get a portion of that done. I rarely get it all done, but that's okay. What's the old adage? You shoot for the stars and be happy that you get to the moon, something along those lines. So there's the Jaguar update for those of you who are interested. Before I get to my essay, one more update. Major League Baseball. Here's the latest news on Major League Baseball. That's right. There's none. They've been locked out since the end of December. They can't decide what they want to do. The latest proposal by the owners, I don't know why they even proposed this. They said, look, we'll eliminate the shift in baseball. Will that make you happy? Now, for those of you there's two types of people out there when I make this statement that management wants to eliminate the shift in Major League Baseball. Okay. Half of you are saying, what the heck is he talking about? The other half are saying, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Okay. And there's nothing in between. The shift in baseball means if you got a guy up who's a left-handed batter, like the Cardinals' former third baseman, first baseman, Matt Carpenter, and all he does is pull the ball to left field. To right field. He never hits the ball to left field. Never. So what you do is you take one of the guys from left field, maybe the third baseman, the shortstop, the left fielder, and you move them over to right field. You have an extra fielder over there because the guy never hits it over in the other section. In other words, you adjust your infield, sometimes outfield, to attack the batter's offense. And it works. Matt Carpenter went from a fantastic hitter to a horrible hitter because he could only pull the ball, and they just put more defenders where he hit the ball, okay? Here's the problem with that. When you start doing things like that, like saying, okay, here's the new rule. You can't play over here. You can only play over there. I mean, we used to do that when we were kids. Okay, when you didn't have enough players, when you had 4-on-4 baseball, okay, and you say, okay, right field is closed. You can't hit the ball to right field because you don't have a right fielder, okay? You would have the other team supplies the pitcher and the catcher, and you have 3 infielders and 1 outfielder. You can play baseball that way, but you can't hit it to right field because you got one guy playing third base, one guy playing like right behind second base, one guy playing first base, and then one outfielder who's halfway between left field and center field. There's your 4 fielders. You can't hit the ball to right field. But you do that because you've only got 8 people total playing the game, not 9 on a side, okay? In essence, what Major League Baseball is proposing is, we'll close right field. That's stupid. Major League Baseball, you lost me in the 80s when you first went on strike, okay? I used to be a huge baseball fan. I would say that before they had the first strike in, 81, 82, something like that, where they stopped playing games for a long, long time in the middle of the season. Before that, I probably went to 15 ball games a year. And that's taking money out of my pocket and paying to see 15 ball games a year, not getting free tickets from somebody else. Paying to see 15 ball games a year. Friends, from the early 80s to date, I haven't paid to see 15 ball games, period. That's telling. And Major League Baseball is going to fool around until they just lose even more fans. Now, they don't care. And I'll tell you why they don't care. Because they're making enough money. In fact, here's a prediction for me. Any of you who think that they're going to figure out something that's going on in this stupid strike, or player stoppage, lockout, I should actually say, because that's truly what it is. Anytime soon, you're wrong. And here's why. Don't expect any baseball to be played until May. And here's why I say that. In the month of April, there's not a bunch of people in the stands anyway, okay? Because the kids are in school, the weather's bad, nobody travels for the weekend to see a game. Baseball is just not on the forefront of everybody. I mean, the hockey playoffs are starting. The NBA is ramping up. There's a lot of other stuff going on. And also, Major League Baseball gets arguably the most of their money from television revenue. And they don't have to start paying that television revenue back until they get under 140 games. It's a 162 game season. So the owners can basically give away 22 games and not have their major source of income, television revenue, affected. Oh, and they don't have to pay the players. See how stupid this is? Major League Baseball, you are slowly but surely losing me as a fan. Okay, sip of coffee first. Sorry. My essay today, the Volodymyr Zelenskyy you never knew. Okay, just to start off with all this. Okay, this is a deal. This Ukraine-Russian war is either the world versus Vladimir Putin or the world versus Russia, and that's still to be determined as to what that will be. And actually, that's the Russian people's choice, okay? Because it's going to be one or the other. Nobody is on the side of Vladimir Putin. Well, let's see, Syria is, Venezuela is, North Korea is, who else? China is, actually China I think voted to abstain. And there's a couple other dictators over there. Belarus is, okay, there's a handful of governments that don't matter who are on Putin's side. But for the most part, everyone else either abstained in the UN vote or they voted against him. So it's the world against Russia or the world against the Ukraine. I'm sorry. It's the world against Russia or the world against Putin. The Russian people have to make that choice. Now, the Ukraine will rebuild after all this is done. And Russia needs to foot the bill for this, okay? And if you make sure those people know it, look, whatever you tear down, you're going to have to rebuild up. With all these sanctions against Russia, your economy is already in a mess. The longer this goes on, the more your economy falters and the higher the bill for rebuild is going to be. That needs to be explained to the Russian people under no uncertain terms. Now, I've got this big essay that I've put together, and I thought about how to do this essay. And normally, the catcher, the main topic of the essay, I leave till the end. And I do that as kind of a gotcha thing. Okay, here, keep listening. And then I summarize the end, and here's your gotcha. I'm going to put the gotcha at the beginning of this essay. And I think you'll understand why I'm doing this, okay? The main reason that Putin says he's invading the Ukraine is because Putin calls the Ukrainian leadership a Nazi dictatorship. Volodymyr Zelenskyy is a Nazi. Here's the dirty little secret that really they're not saying much about in the mainstream media, in the traditional media sources. I'm not sure, but they're not. I don't think that Volodymyr Zelenskyy is a Nazi. In fact, I'm sure Volodymyr Zelenskyy is not a Nazi. And here's why. Because Volodymyr Zelenskyy, who's the sixth president of the Ukraine, was born to, get this, Jewish parents in 1978 in what was then called the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic. His father, Alexander, is currently a professor and head of the Department of Cybernetics and Computing Hardware at the Kyiv State University of Economics and Technology. His mother, Rima, used to work as an engineer.